young woman named Hazel calmly gets dressed and fixes her makeup. She then meets her one-night lover, the man she has just killed by slitting his throat. With cold precision, she wipes the blood from his mouth, removes every trace of her fingerprints from his body, and leaves him lying untouched in the hotel room. 20 years later, Hazel runs a small, quiet diner, serving the same familiar faces every day. No one suspects that the polite woman behind the counter is hiding a dark and deadly past. Whenever the police came by, Hazel would quietly cover their bill. Her teenage daughter, Joy, noticed and eventually asked why. Hazel explained that it was important to stay on good terms with the police. If an emergency ever happened, she'd need their help right away. She couldn't risk being on their bad side. While they were talking, Hazel suddenly noticed Joy's boyfriend sitting at a nearby table and made it clear she didn't approve of him. Knowing her mother would never accept their relationship, Joy made a bold plea, asking Hazel to give her the entire college fund so she could leave Las Vegas and start a new life with him. Hazel immediately rejected the idea, scolding Joy for being reckless and refusing to give her the college savings. She reminded her daughter that she had built her own life from nothing and expected Joy to do the same. Believing the boyfriend was a bad influence, Hazel urged her to end the relationship. But Joy defended him, insisting he was a good person. Their talk quickly turned into a heated argument, ending with Joy defiantly announcing that she would move out and start a new life with him. Joy's boyfriend, like many young people, had no money for college and lived more on impulse and dreams than real plans. That same day, while serving a male customer, Joy discovered he couldn't pay for his meal. When he finished eating without offering a cent, she lost her temper, certain he had just scammed her. Hazel stepped in to defuse the situation. The man admitted he was homeless and couldn't afford the meal. Instead of kicking him out, Hazel offered him a dishwashing job and a temporary place to stay. After looking around the room, he introduced himself as Elliot. Meanwhile, Joy's boyfriend kept pressuring her for money so they could move out together. When she told him to take care of it himself, he became more persistent, insisting they use her college savings instead. The next day, while talking with regular customers, Hazel saw Joy enter wearing sunglasses that covered most of her face. Instantly sensing something was wrong, she ended the conversation and hurried over. Joy tried to pass by, but Hazel grabbed the sunglasses and froze at the sight of a dark bruise around her eye. Joy admitted that her boyfriend was at fault but begged Hazel not to take revenge, warning that his family was dangerous. But Hazel's anger drowned out her words. Without a word, she went home, changed into a striking, fierce-looking dress, and grabbed the gun hidden under her bed. Meanwhile, Joy's boyfriend laughed and chatted with a friend at an auto shop, completely carefree and unaware that Hazel was already on her way. Hazel stormed into the shop and demanded to speak with him privately. He refused and mocked her in front of his friend. Without hesitation, Hazel punched him in the face, making him stumble, then delivered a brutal kick that knocked him to the ground. When the mechanic tried to step in, Hazel sprayed him with pepper spray, leaving him dazed and disoriented. Blood ran down Joy's boyfriend's face as Hazel drew her gun and ordered him to come with her. When he refused, she fired a warning shot just past his ear. Terrified, he had no choice but to obey, grumbling about his possibly broken nose as he stumbled after her. In the parking lot, Hazel snatched his phone and tossed it aside. She forced him into the control booth and tightly bound him with duct tape. Then she drove deep into the Vegas desert, her daughter's boyfriend tied up in the back. Hours later, at a remote location, she dragged him out and led him to a shallow grave that had already been dug, and without saying a word, shoved him in. Hazel revealed that she had dug the grave the very day she first met him, knowing he would eventually hurt her daughter. Then she pulled the trigger, turned, and walked away, leaving his body in the pit without a second thought. The next morning, Joy kept texting her boyfriend but received no reply. Growing anxious, she confronted Hazel about his disappearance. Calm and unfazed, Hazel lied, saying they had argued and he had chosen to leave the city on his own. Joy didn't believe her and warned that her boyfriend's family were dangerous criminals who would stop at nothing for revenge. If anything had happened to him, they would come after whoever was responsible. But Hazel stayed calm. Furious, Joy stormed out. Elliot came to comfort Hazel, but they soon noticed a suspicious man taking photos of him from a distance. Hazel hurried to confront him, but the man ran off without saying a word. When she returned, Elliot was in the kitchen, tense and lost in thought. As soon as he saw her, he quickly masked his worry, acting as if nothing was wrong. That night, Elliot woke from a nightmare and quietly started packing his things, hoping to leave without being noticed. But Hazel caught him. When she asked about the man taking his photo, he claimed he knew nothing, though his uneasy expression suggested otherwise. When Hazel pressed Elliot about his past, he agreed to talk, but only if she shared hers too. Hazel refused and they went their separate ways. After Elliot left, Hazel noticed the same suspicious man still watching from a distance, taking photos. When he finally drove off, she followed him to a remote motel. There, she broke into his room and knocked him unconscious. Sometime later, the man woke up, dazed, and found Hazel's gun pointed at him. Under pressure, he admitted he was a freelance journalist investigating Elliot. He claimed that Elliot had killed someone and was now on the run. To back up his story, he directed Hazel to his laptop, which contained all the evidence. In the motel room, Hazel found a news article about Elliot. He had once been a famous heart surgeon, but his career ended after a drunk driving accident that killed his girlfriend. He served 4 years in prison and had only recently been released. After learning the truth, Hazel grabbed the reporter's laptop and walked away, warning him never to come back. Life quickly returned to normal. She went back to her daily routine, serving her regular customers as if nothing had happened. That day, Hazel found Joy in tears, still unable to get in touch with her boyfriend. She tried to comfort her, but Joy pushed her away and stormed out. When Hazel followed her outside, she unexpectedly ran into Phil, a former coworker, who told her that their old boss had just been released from prison. The news made Hazel freeze, a wave of unease washing over her. She knew exactly why he had returned. He asked to meet the next day, and she agreed. But back at the diner, he unexpectedly brought up Joy, praising Hazel for raising her well. Beneath the compliment, however, lay a thinly veiled threat, and it made Hazel seethe with anger. The next morning over breakfast, Hazel told Elliot about the journalist and showed him the documents she had found. Faced with the evidence, Elliot admitted that he had once performed surgery on the reporter's father, but it had failed. Since then, the reporter had held a grudge and was now trying to ruin Elliot's reputation by bringing up the accident that killed his girlfriend. After hearing the full story, Hazel didn't hesitate. She asked Elliot for help dealing with the man threatening them and pleaded with him to watch over Joy for one night, explaining that she had to leave the city to handle something important. Though clearly uneasy, Elliot agreed. That evening, Hazel met Phil as planned. He led her to their former boss, who was visibly thrilled to see her after 20 years. As they reminisced, he recalled meeting her at just 15 and taking her in, training her to become a top assassin. After reminiscing, he revealed the true reason for their meeting. He wanted Hazel to return to work. The target was a client named Perry, and he offered a generous upfront payment. But Hazel refused, firmly insisting she couldn't go back to that life, even if she still owed him. Seeing she wouldn't give in, the boss changed his approach. He dropped veiled threats about her daughter and hinted that he knew about Joy's boyfriend's disappearance. The message was clear: leaving wouldn't be as simple as Hazel had hoped. Realizing the danger in her former boss's words, Hazel reluctantly accepted the assignment. That night, she went to the casino to observe Perry, then returned home and had drinks with Elliot. As the alcohol eased her tension, she opened up, sharing her past struggles with addiction and how she had been rescued, trained, and used like a tool. The night ended in an intimate moment between them. The next morning, Hazel met with Elliot, told him she would be leaving that night, and asked him to look after Joy. He agreed. That evening, dressed to impress, she returned to the casino. Pretending it was a chance encounter, she caught Perry off guard and piqued his interest. He invited her to his private suite, where they talked and reminisced. As Perry finished his drink, Hazel offered to pour him another, subtly slipping something into the glass while he was distracted. Before he could take a sip, he brought up their past, the relationship that had ended 20 years ago. He confessed that he still had feelings for her and hoped to rekindle what they once shared. Hazel was shaken by his confession. As Perry lifted the glass, she quickly grabbed it and kissed him to distract him. A knock at the door interrupted them, giving her a chance to hide the drink. When he came back, they resumed kissing and agreed to meet again. Later, Hazel returned to the diner, slipping back into her routine while Elliot quietly continued his dishwashing duties. Hazel had no idea that Elliot was actually an undercover agent working for her former boss. He had been assigned to watch her every move and had agreed to the mission before even arriving. At the diner, a police officer mentioned the increasing number of missing teenage girls in the area. When Hazel asked her cook about it, he claimed to know nothing. The officer then reminded her to report anything suspicious she might hear. Just then, Phil arrived to warn Hazel that Perry was about to leave town if she wanted to act. It had to be now. Seeing her hesitation, he reminded her that failure could put Joy in danger. Frustrated, Hazel walked away and Elliot stepped in to comfort her. With a heavy heart, she asked him to watch over Joy, knowing she would have to leave again soon. Even as Elliot held her, Hazel stayed distant, then quietly walked away. Moments later, he texted the boss, confirming that Hazel would take action that night. Later that evening, Hazel slipped into Joy's room to check on her one last time before leaving. Hazel met with Elliot to tell him she had to leave for work. He tried to stop her, but she stood her ground, determined to do what needed to be done. As soon as she walked out, Elliot called the boss to report. Meanwhile, Hazel arrived at the hotel, loaded her gun, and stepped into the elevator to confront Perry. At that moment, Perry received a mysterious package containing a photo of Joy. Seeing it, he froze, realizing that Joy was his daughter, born from his relationship with Hazel 20 years ago. Still reeling from the revelation, Perry was caught off guard when his wife suddenly burst into the room. Thinking quickly, he claimed the setup was meant for a romantic date night with her. Meanwhile, Hazel had a change of heart and broke into the boss's hideout. After silently taking out a guard, she drew the boss's attention through the surveillance cameras. He ordered Phil to stop her, but before he could act, Hazel ambushed Phil and took him down. Hazel advanced toward the boss's room, where he was armed and waiting. Anticipating his move, she shot him in the arm. Wounded, he tried to manipulate her, revealing that Elliot had been working for him all along. But Hazel stayed calm, replying that she no longer belonged to his world. Before pulling the trigger, she called him father, revealing he was her biological dad. Hazel returned home, still stained with blood, quietly cleaned up, and checked on her daughter without saying a word. The next morning, she walked past Elliot without responding to his greeting, leaving him puzzled by her sudden coldness. Just as Hazel was about to start her shift, Joy came over, gave her a quick hug, and stepped outside. Moments later, Hazel heard a strange noise behind her. Turning around, she was shocked to see her boyfriend bloody but alive. He motioned for her to stay quiet, and she silently nodded. Later, Joy asked to borrow the car. Hazel handed her the keys and returned to work. While taking orders, she suddenly noticed the chef was missing. Stepping outside to investigate, she was shocked to see a strange man attacking him and immediately rushed in to help. As Hazel fought off one attacker, another man tried to abduct a teenage girl. Seeing Hazel, he abandoned the girl and charged at her instead. She quickly took him down, but a third man suddenly drew a gun and fired several shots, leaving her collapsed and motionless. Amid the chaos, the men grabbed the girls and fled. Elliot rushed to Hazel's side, desperately trying to stop the bleeding as she lay unmoving in a pool of blood.